Who's a good nut? Who's a good nut? I'm a good nut. You're a good nut. We're all good nut. Let's crack these weather nut. More nut jokes, more nut jokes, more nut jokes. We've got rounds of strong to severe thunderstorms continuing for the central high plains southward into Texas and across the deep south. A wet pattern above my peanut tip is setting up across the eastern U.S. heading into the Memorial Day weekend. And a round of high elevation snow for the northern to central Rockies and rain embedded in those thunderstorms is spreading across the lower elevations and into the northern plains. West Coast looks gorgeous. Let's do temps. Washington and Oregon in the 70s and 80s. Warmer for Oregon than Washington, of course. NorCal seeing 98 to 65. SoCal 95 to 74. Mountain states, we've got 60s and 50s for the northern part of the Rockies where you're getting that snow in the higher elevations, rain in the lower. And then the Southwest seeing 60s and 70s until you get down to the bottom where we're in the 80s and 90s for the Arizona-Mexico border. Plazy Poos, I'm seeing 69 nice up at the Canadian border, and then that kind of continues with the 60s and 70s well down into the middle of Texas. And then the West Texas and South Texas near the Gulf are both a little bit hotter, 88 at the tip. Midwesty Poos are seeing cooler around the lake states with 50s and 60s. It turns into 70s by the time you hit Kentucky, Tennessee border at 79, 80 around the Gulf with 84 to 92, just depending on where you're at. East Coasties, we are cooler up top with those rains in place, 50s, 60s for New England, 80 at the nation's capital, though. Sees quite a drastic shift for Virginia. You've got all the temperatures. North Carolina is 92, 85 out at the Outer Banks, and then 85 for South Carolina, Georgia, 92 at the Florida-Georgia line, 93 at the shaft, 88 at the tip. Insane Nuts at McMurdo Station, Antarctica can enjoy negative 17 degrees. It's really not that bad for them. It's not very windy, and they got a real feel of negative 6 and partly cloudy skies. Puerto Rico still getting some showers left over from yesterday, and small craft advisories, especially on the northern seas around the island. Rip current risk is moderate. Pay attention to the local areas if you're going down to the beach. Swim near lifeguards. Be careful. Don't die. Daytime high temperatures 86, 88 on the north, 84 in the east, 87 in the south, 90 in the west, 79 for the interior, 87, 90, 91 for the U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Croix and surrounding waters at 83. Alaska getting peed on, especially at the bottom part of the state. High winds and heavy precipitation are possible for the Aleutians and southern mainland into the first part of the week, so that's going to continue. We'll keep an eye on it. And daytime high temperatures, we've got 26, 29, 33 up on the Arctic Circle, positively balmy. The rest of the state seeing nice warming trends for the interior. The hottest I'm seeing is 63, but lots of high 30s to high 40s and mid 50s. A little bit cooler on the coastlines and in the south. We've got 46, 44 for the Aleutians, 50 to 46 near Anchorage, and 53 for the Panhandlers. Hawaii seeing windy conditions with a gale force warning for all islands, small craft advisories for all islands, and wind advisories for a lot of parts, especially on the eastern half of the state. So pay attention to your local conditions, especially if you're going to be boating or near the water in general. Daytime high temperatures for the island chain, 76 to 86 is kind of the range, with a lot of you falling in that 77 to 83 range. Hotter on the coastlines than the interiors. Today's weather nuts have been peanut flavored. Everybody have a good day. Okay, bye.